done on our players. Really excited about this season, this off season, and going into the season and starting tomorrow. It's been totally opposite than it was 2 years ago, in the sense that we had a long off season. We talked about the things that we needed to improve on as far as making the roster, making this team better. I thought that we brought on some players that will help us do that, but also our off-season training. We was able to get out with our guys, get our guys back, get our young guys in the gym, and really work on the areas that we feel we needed to improve on. Going into this season, unlike, again, last season, we had our guys in early. We had 10, 12 guys in the month of August, playing, doing some drills as well as 5-on-5. The month of September, we had pretty much all of our guys in playing 5-on-5, which is really exciting for me. Of course, I didn't watch those guys at that time. For me, it was like having your kids at home, and they're in the backyard playing. That was a positive for us because we feel that our conditioning wasn't where it needed to be last season, and I thought that had a huge impact on us.
Hey, Coach, AJ from Hawksman TV. Wanted to ask you, kind of piggyback off that question, a lot of new faces on the roster. So what kind of possibilities and challenges does that present to your coaching staff heading into the season?
Well, again, it's exciting really, it is a different team in the sense that we do have a lot of new faces, and we have a young group, with the addition of our 2 draft picks and, bringing in Aaron Holiday, to our roster. Jalen will, get minutes this year. It's somewhat of a young group, but it's exciting because I really felt that Landry and the organization addressed what we needed to improve and get better. And it's going to be competitive. There won't be anything given to our guys, and you will have to earn it. And I think that makes for a exciting training camp.
Hey, Coach, you talk about new faces coming in. Obviously, that's excitement. You also want to improve this team defensively. And I was asking about one particular guy, Onyeka. Thoughts about him, what you look for him for this year. Another year for him to experience in the league and with this team.
Yeah, I've talked with him really all summer long. And, one of the things that we really wanted him to do was play in the summer league and get more time. I wanted to play through him during that time, but that didn't happen in the sense that Jalen had a procedure that really put him down for the entire summer. And those were our 2 young guys that I really wanted to develop in our summer league. But Onyeka has worked all summer long, with our coaches. He's been in Atlanta for most of the summer. And, the things that we're talking about with him is, he's done a solid job of just being a solid backup with his play. And I think each year, my 2 years that I've been here, his minutes has increased because of that play. Things that I want him to do is be a better rebounder, be even better at the rebounding. We want to kind of put the ball in our 5-man, their hands, and allow them to play with it. And, the guy that I've talked to him a lot about is Bam. I think he and Bam have similar talents in the sense that he can handle the ball, he can shoot the ball. We're not just yet ready to stretch him behind the 3, but there'll be opportunities for him to take that mid-range shot and I want him to look for that. But his ability to handle the ball, I think he does a solid job of defending his position, help position, blocking shots. All of those things are things that we want him to improve on.
Coach, Dejounte Murray, obviously an elite defender, and he came here to fulfill a need. Can a player arrive to a team and inspire his teammates to also raise their games to that, almost to that level? And if so, can you pinpoint some examples in your coaching history where you saw that happen?
Absolutely. He has already done that. He has already done that. You know, I invited our team out to Las Vegas to see our draft picks play and to really kind of bond and continue to work on that chemistry. And Dejounte was one of the first guys out there. He was one of the first guys at the meeting. And our conversations have gone like, Coach, whatever you need, I'm here to do it. And he's looking forward. He's really excited to come and be a part of this organization. Just 3 weeks ago, we were sitting in the training room and we was talking, and I asked him about his summer, and he said, I asked him, has he talked to any of the guys, and he said he had just talked to Trey, and Trey asked him to come out to Los Angeles, and he said, I'm in Atlanta, and Trey said, I'll be there. So he has already had that type of impact. And Trey came in early September. He's been playing 5-on-5 with our guys. So he has already had an impact on our team. I'll have to get to know him even more, and that'll start tomorrow when I see him out on the floor and see how he engages with the team. But he has been nothing but a pro with a lot of positive energy this offseason since picking him.
Hey, Coach Raphael from the three-point conversion. We saw DeAndre Hunter break out last year in the playoffs. How does his role offensively expand?
Well, I want him to just play. We've talked about that. We know that Trey is in a contract year, and I've talked to him about that. And he's in a good place. He's able to work out. This summer, last year he couldn't. Last year during the month of August and September, he had a procedure where he couldn't do anything. He's been playing 5-on-5. He looks good mentally. He seems like he's in a really good place. And he's focusing on trying to do whatever it takes to help this team win. And so we've had those conversations about his role this season. It doesn't change. We're going to have to see how things work out. That first unit is going to have to get out there and play, and they're going to have to build that chemistry and learn to play together. And his role will eventually come, and it'll be created through the play of that starting five. So the main thing is he is focusing on trying to help this team win and get better, and he doesn't have concerns about a contract or putting up big numbers. The only big number that he's concerned about is the wins, the winning column.
Coach, when it comes to the preseason travel, how much do you think that'll help when it comes to building chemistry, especially between Murray and the rest of the people that have been here for a while?
Yeah, well, we're taking this trip across the ocean, and it's going to Abu Dhabi. That's a long trip. I went to Mumbai when I was in Indiana, and it's a great opportunity for our guys to bond. And we're looking at trying to put them in position for that to happen. We're actually going over there a little earlier than Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee is coming over maybe 2 days before the game. We will spend about 9-10 days over there because we want our guys to spend that time together. We will have some of our families some of our family to travel with us, but it is an opportunity for the players to bond. Coming back, we only have 4 preseason games, so coming back, we'll have 2 games and we'll have enough time to adjust and get ourselves ready for the regular season. But, I like this trip. It's a great opportunity to really, see another part of the world, and you don't get those opportunities a lot.
Hey, Coach. For a guy like Jalen Johnson, who's kind of finding a little bit of a footing toward the end of last season, I guess what's the expectation for him coming into this season? And do you expect it to be a big training camp battle between maybe him and Mo and Kaminsky to have that backup fourth position?
Well, I thought it was really good that Jalen wanted to play in the G League. I think the minutes that he got there really helped him. He walks different now. He seems like he has really matured in a year, in just a year's time, and he knows that he's got to battle and compete for those minutes. All of our guys have to do that. The great thing about having the players that we have at multiple positions, they're going to have to earn it. They'll get an opportunity to compete for those minutes, but they're going to have to earn the minutes that they get out on the floor, and Jalen is ready for that. He wasn't able to do a lot for most of the summer, but the month of August and September, he's been able to play some 5-on-5, and he looks really good. He's excited about the opportunity and the challenge, and I'm sure he's looking forward to getting started tomorrow.
Hey, Coach. Your coaching staff underwent some changes this summer. Christian's gone. One, how do you feel about the new look coaching staff? And then 2, what made you decide to want to bring on Coach Longobardi?
Well, as losing Coach Gent, he had an opportunity that he felt was best for him, and I hated to see him leave, but it gave me an opportunity to go out and search for, again, just as the organization was looking for players, I was looking for a coach that could help us. He has a resume on the defensive end of the floor where he's had a lot of success, and he's coached a lot of successful teams as well as players. And when talking to a number of coaches around the league that he has worked for, Tyrone Lue, Doc Rivers, a number of those guys, they praised him. And when I had my interview with him and was conversating with him about his approach and his style, both of us see it the same way. He is really focused on the defensive end of the floor. He's excited about the opportunity and the challenge of turning this defense around. And I just like what I heard. I like the things that I saw from him. He has been in from day one. And he has come here, and basically his family is going to stay in Cleveland, and he is throwing everything into the basket to help us turn this defense around, because that's the number one thing that I think we need to improve on, and I'm looking forward to working with him this year.
Coach McMillan, Terrell Thomas, These Urban Times. A 2-part question. I wanted to know if you've had a chance yet to sit down with Trey Young, and possibly with there being so many new members on this roster, kind of speak with him as far as your expectations from a leadership standpoint, and then from yourself. Are there any goals that you set throughout the season for yourself, and where you'd like to see improvement?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned, back in June, I went to talk with Trey, and this was before really, it was early June, before everything really got started, as far as selecting players in the draft and what we wanted to do in the free agent market. So I've been in constant contact with Trey and really all of our players, and I had an opportunity to spend a couple of days with Trey when I flew out to Oklahoma City and just talked about this past season and areas that we need to improve on. And one of the big areas that I feel we need to improve on is the connection between the two of us. I think that we need to be better at communicating with each other and what we want to do and how we want to go about doing it. And his leadership, both on the floor and the locker room. Those are things that I talked to him about. It's a situation where he has just inherited this. He's the face of the franchise, and it's just something that he has inherited, and he will have to work at and become better. So yes, we have talked about next season, or at that time we was talking about next season, the things that we wanted to do better and improve on, and he has started to do that. We talked about coming out to Vegas and inviting all the players out in Vegas. They also, and Trey set up a time where, as a team, they did some things together. Trey coming back in September is important. We talked about the importance of that his team needed to see him here in Atlanta. And he came back, and he's been back. So when we were trying to make the deal for Murray, we was in constant contact because that was a move that he really felt the organization should make, that Murray could help us. And, as I told him, we're bringing in another guard and an all-star guard. So what do you know what that means for you? And what that means is you're going to be playing without the ball more than you probably ever have. And he was really excited about the opportunity to play off the ball, learn to play off the ball, and play with Murray. So yes, we've been in constant conversation about the season, upcoming season, expectations, and our goals.
Nate, I know that playing good team defense isn't a matter of just putting good defenders out there and letting them go. But when you look at your roster now from a personnel standpoint, do you think this team has the potential to be a better defensive team based on the guys that you have now?
I do. And it's as you mentioned, it's more of a mindset. It's a commitment. And, as I said, after my last game or my last loss, I often write down things that we need to improve on, and defense was one of the things that an area we need to improve on. And when I write that down, those are the first things that we're going to work on. So that commitment starts tomorrow with us. The conditioning part starts tomorrow with us. And I feel that if we get that commitment and we're better conditioned to play both ends of the floor and play the style that I feel we need to, we're going to be in good shape.
Nate, do you think initially that Trey and Dejounte will be so concerned with making sure each other is getting touches that it might be too unselfish, at least initially?
Well, we got, as a coach, the way you think about this going into it, it's not, I'm not worried about Murray and Trey. We got 5 guys in that lineup. We got DeAndre who isn't a contract year. So you got to make sure that he understands and his mindset is right. We got John Collins who wants to be a part as well. So the chemistry of that group, it's going to have to play out, and I think it will. And when we're focusing on playing the game the right way, playing the game together, playing the game to win. And I think if we do that, we take that approach and we win games, guys will be happy. So it's not just Murray and Trey, it's our 5 starters in DeAndre and John and Clint. That chemistry has to work with all of those guys, and you have, I think you throw a bogey in there as well. So that is something that we'll work on day one, and I think it'll take some time, but we'll eventually get it.
Nate, what a part of the relationship between you and Trey, maybe fragile is the wrong word, however you would want to describe it, felt that you needed to go to Oklahoma to visit with him. And was that an example of Trey taking the next step in his maturity process to say, yeah, come on, let's break bread and talk about it?
Yeah, but what I talked to him about is we need to have a conversation. And where are you? And I need to come see you. I'm in Oklahoma City, Coach. Come anytime. I'll be there tomorrow. And I jumped on a plane and went out to Oklahoma City, and I mean, boy's got a beautiful spread. A really nice setup. I brought my shorts and my sneakers, and we worked out, and we talked about everything. We talked about this past season. We talked about the things that he needed to work on. I wanted to know what he felt he needed to work on, and I talked about the things that Miami did against us, and my thoughts on next season, how I would like to use him. So I was playing point, and we were running him off of some different sets, and was telling him these are the things that I foresee trying to do with you next season. And at that time we didn't have Murray, but I felt that we needed to add this to his game, to our style of play, and so we had those conversations. The maturity is going to come. I've been in this business for a long time, and these young guys, they have to go through this time. The first 4 years of trying to figure out and establish themselves. Trey now has a family. He has a little one that changes you. And I think the experiences that he has had over the last couple of years, and certainly that Miami series, that will change you. And I think the good players, the great players, they learn from that. And that's something that we feel that that series, we need to learn from that. And Miami showed us that we have to improve and get better, and show Trey that you got to learn to play a different style of ball. What you did was great, but you can do more. And Trey's up for that. He understands that.
Real quick, how long were you there for?
I was there 2 days.
Also, when was that trip out there?
That was June.
In June, okay. You mentioned the Murray trade, obviously a big move there, but you kept the other 4 starters, Bogey back as well. So the core of what y'all did 2 years ago is kind of still here when a lot of people were thinking that was going to get totally blown up. Are you glad that y'all, it wasn't a total overhaul, and what tells you that what you did 2 years ago, that group has that potential to still maybe mesh with Murray and get back to that level?
Well, I just felt like last year we can be better simply with our approach. And adding the talent and the guys that we did to the roster, that certainly will help us. But I thought we lost focus last season in the sense it was a short off season. We had a number of guys who had injuries. We're dealing with injuries at the start of the season. Once we get into season, it's really difficult to start a season and you have injury and you're injured as a player. You're really playing catch up throughout that season. And we had COVID to hit the entire roster. So I thought we were some fat cats coming into the season last year, and so that focus, we got to regain that focus right from the start. starting tomorrow, and what we want to become. Because my question to the team, I had this. I was in the doctor's office the other day, and this guy recognized me, and he got all excited, and he talked about Coach McMillan and wanted to take pictures, and this young lady, older lady, was like, "Who is that?" And he's like, "That's the coach of the Hawks." Who are the Hawks? Who are the Atlanta Hawks? And I took that different. It was like, that's a good question. Who are we? 2 years ago, we go to the Eastern Conference Finals. Last year, we finished 9th, and we're in the play-in tournament. Who are we? And that is the question I'm going to pose to our guys tonight. Who are we? Who do we want to become? And how do we get there? And, so that's the mindset that I have with our guys. We got to regain that focus, understand what we're here for, and then give them that vision and that roadmap on how we're going to become that group. So we have to establish, create our identity. And, the last 2 seasons are now behind us. It's a new year, new opportunity, new challenge. And we start tomorrow working on creating it.
Coach, I want to go back to what you were talking about earlier. You talked about John Collins dealing with trade rumors, so he has something to prove. Then you got DeAndre Hunter, his contract. Then you got 2 superstars playing together now, trying to figure out playing with each other. Have you been in a predicament like this as a coach? And then also, how do you communicate to them that, of course, the #1 goal is winning and will be all right?
I have been in, this situation, and John and I had a deep conversation about, this off season. He's ready to roll. John has been a guy that, since I've been here, every day he comes in, and that guy's ready to rock and roll. He's ready to play. But I did talk to him about teams and trade talk. And as I said to him, the one thing that I was surprised about when I went from playing to coaching is conversations that management have. And management they talk about everybody. Everybody's talked about. Really, everybody's talked about. And a lot of times it may not be the organization talking about the trade. It may be some other team calling you on that, but everybody gets talked about. And so you can't worry about that. You can't be concerned about that. And a lot of times that's good. Other teams have interest in you. So we had that conversation, and I talked about the time when I was a week before training camp. I was on the trading blocks, and the organization wasn't honest with me. And I asked an organization, "Am I really on the trade blocks?" And they said no. And I asked the coach who lived in the same city, who was coaching the team that was talking about trading for me, "Are you guys trying to trade for me?" He's like, "Yes, I want you." And I go into the facility and I'm working out. It's a week before training camp, and they are still telling me, "No, we're not trying to trade you." And I actually see this guy on the 6 o'clock evening news get off a plane. It's live coverage, and he's coming to visit the city, Seattle, to see if he wants to be traded. And that organization had just told me that we're not trying to trade you. And the guy eventually just decided that he didn't want to come. He's got his wife. They're covering this, and my wife and I are sitting there looking at it like, oh my goodness. We may be moving tomorrow. And he went back to his team and decided he didn't want the trade. And I had to go into training camp 2-3 days later. And it's just a mindset that you got to be professional about your approach. You got a job to do. You're still getting paid by this organization, and you have to go in there and do your job. And so, yes, I've been in these situations before. With our group, you're always having situations where guys are in contract years and they're playing for something. And what we have to do, and what I have to do, is get across to our guys is that the best way to handle that is to win games, and that's what we'll be talking about tomorrow.
This will be our last question.
Hey, Coach, another John question. Earlier you mentioned getting the ball in the 5-man team. I wanted to ask about perhaps a 4, because I know he hasn't always had a defined role on offense. What will it look like this year? Will he kind of be freelancing again and just kind of, what exactly will John look like on offense this year?
Well, I mean, we don't play through the post. We spread the ball out, but we have to recognize mismatches. The game now, the way it's played, a lot of switching, and I didn't think that last year we were able to take advantage of that. And that's a two-way system, in the sense that you have to recognize where your mismatch is at. Then you have to get the ball to that matchup, and then that guy has to win his matchup. So Miami, perfect example, they switched 1 through 5. So, where's our matchup? And if that's in the post, then we have to drop the ball, and then that guy in the post has to win his matchup. John was hurt during that time, but the guy that we kind of played through was Gallo in that situation. And until you develop that style of play and you recognize and those guys do something with the basketball, teams are going to continue to do that. Most of the time, our advantages has been on the perimeter with Trey matched up against a big. So those are things that it's nothing new. Some teams are not going to change, and you got to have the weapons to be able to win those matchups when the opponent gives you those matchups. And last year we really had 1 or 2 guys that could win those matchups. This year I think we, with Murray, adding Murray to the lineup, he should be able to do that. And then John has to develop that post game when they do put a small on him, taking advantage of that.